Here, and we're late joining a match, but I promise I'll do some recap at the end of this stream. It's a match between National Master Jasugi99 from Canada, the best bug house player in the world, with Chicken Crossroad and Katask, likely other contenders at the top of the game, against Grandmaster penguingim1, probably the best hyper chess player in the world. Although Magnus Carlsen and Nakamura might have something to say about that. And we saw last night Chicken Crossroad actually demolish Penguin with a very strong performance, 9-1. But the favourite in this Crazyhouse Candidates is this Canadian Jasugi99, whom you all must know. Please play Crazyhouse in the Twitch chat. Hi there. And we're in game 5. White Jasugi99 has just thrown in this great defensive check. I'm just going to quickly just recap this game 5 because I missed the beginning of it myself, just trying to set up the stream. We've seen this opening from White, roughly speaking, in all the games as White. We saw something very similar, in fact, in the games against Chicken. Okay, the Queen really hiding away. Why didn't he take with the pawn? I'm not sure. So taking the pawn was just more logical rather than the Queen. But he's had to give up that Queen, in fact. But his king is safe enough, and black doesn't have that much. Okay, nice check. Defending c2, but still, white's under a little bit of pressure. White's under a little bit of pressure. But what is white threatening? At d7. Sorry, I just missed this. So he sacks a piece, and he's hoping to win back a piece on g7. So white's going to have to waste a blocker, and okay. So what is the attack plan from white? It's basically hitting on the light squares around the black king if he has time to do so. So queen takes knight. Okay, we're going to see a light square attack now. So very simple. Either at f6, probably at f6. Now the reason we're not saying that is there must be trouble. Yeah, there's a queen trap here. So maybe this is even better. Anjo Nakamura spotted it in the Lichess chat. Ah, interesting. Okay, I didn't see this coming. What's the idea? The idea was if I take with the pawn, a knight could come on e4 maybe. But taking with the knight, I don't know, this is very creative. I don't... So what I'm wondering is, why can't we be pig-headed and just go rook h back to b1 and say, okay, your queen is still trapped? And there would be ideas of knight d4 takes, rook at d3. Maybe... But see, the knight on c2 is defended, so that would be one approach. And the other approach would be just going at f6 kind of idea. Okay, so instead he's going... See, I don't get that at all. So I guess he wants king d8, bishop at f6. It's the logic. Oh, he has two knights in hand, actually, so it's not so stupid. Maybe he thinks he's got enough here, and he probably does. Yeah, we see bishop at f6. So the threat is to win. Well, you're attacking the queen. There's no obvious check, because check on h6 you just meet with at g5. Yeah, but now that's just a case of finding the mate. Assuming there is one. Okay, so this is an interesting move, blocking off Yeah, I like this. So the plan is at d7 and promote. It's a really clever move. At d7, promote to a queen, and see the rook's no longer defending d8. And what's the follow-up? Do we want to... It's down to 10 seconds. It's just like, can I find a mate quickly enough? Nice counter from white. Yes, indeed. So king g8, what's... Oh yeah, the second knight. I didn't see that. Oh, he didn't... He takes the queen and says, I'm safe. Although, did he have a direct mate? I don't see it. But now it's obviously mate. Sorry, I didn't show that the last move properly. Takes. He puts a queen on. Yeah. So obviously, winning the queen was the easiest way to mate. Was there a way of mating without winning the queen? If he just went bishop to b5, king a5. It's not so obvious. So that's why he just took the queen and says, I'm safe. Yeah, hi there, Abhijit Go. Penguin burnt a lot of time in these games. Knowing opening theory is crucial. Yeah, I mean, neither player will play opening theory specifically. Or let's put it this way. Jasugi99 will purposely play bad openings against a lot of players just to get out of opening theory. But having said that, he's played a lot more Crazyhouse than Penguin, so he'll still know the openings a lot better, even though he tries to avoid opening theory. And yeah, it's true. In these sort of critical positions, like just out of the opening like this, Penguin has been sort of sitting and thinking for 30 to 40 seconds. And that has then cost him at the critical end of the game. He's doing fine. It's just he's got no time. It hasn't been quite the positional crush that we saw, I think, in the match between Chicken and Penguin, where a lot of games, I think Penguin didn't play positionally very well, but I think he's learned. I think he's learned from that because he's not a regular Crazyhouse player, and so and Chicken was able to exploit. It's the sort of thing. If Penguin was training in Crazyhouse, you'd be oof. So rook at h1, king here. So we could always win a queen if we wanted, with check even. It's not a bad deal, because the king has to go here or here. Not a bad deal, but not good enough for 12-teen. He's hungry for more than just a queen. I think it's mate though, right? So rook here, king takes knight. Take the queen with check, and then you're coming in with this bishop to h5. My gosh, he's greedy. He just wants rook f1. He just wants rook f1. Oh, I'm just blind. I'm sorry. The bishop's guarding f1. Okay, sorry. This is why I lose games. Okay, yes. So much stronger move. Bishop going to h4 first. Jasugi99. Oops, miss bishop f1. Yeah, so I'm not the only one. Knight takes f5 coming, says the chat. Well, why not e4 though? Okay, well, the chat's smarter than I am, clearly. I was more worried about opening up f5 because it does open up f7 and there's a lot of pressure. But maybe because you wanted to... Yeah, okay. And then you're taking the queen and... Okay, yeah. Was there nowhere else White King could have gone? If I just look at the game, he could have gone... Yeah, I see. Because the knight was on f5, he couldn't go to e3, so going to knight f5 was quite a pretty little combination to pick up the queen. And Abhijit says Chicken knows how to respond to the a6 b5 opening, and saying how Oppa also tries to deviate from main lines. Is this opening as black good in Crazyhouse? I mean, I've tried it once, and just to try and mix things up, and not really. I mean, the problem with an opening like this is you're giving white the center, and you're just playing in the first 3 rows, and it means that white can do a lot more moves to develop and progress because he's got a lot more space to work with. The one trump card, as it were, for black is this diagonal, which can be quite dangerous. So if you ever push this and move this knight, you'd have ideas of bishop takes g2 and starting a huge attack on the king. So that's the point. You've got a compact structure and you're going to counterattack hard. So and to be honest, the way White has played this, I feel, is even better than the way he played some of the previous games. In some of the previous games, he played with like h4 and either bishop to g5 or knight to g5. This feels maybe even stronger, arguably, for White, and that's why you see Penguin thinking for literally almost a minute in the openings, and it's a sign of just I'm lacking things to do here, and he's just going to just push, just block off that bishop. There's no reason to take it. I mean, there is a reason to take it, so you can get on h6, but why? Yeah, absolutely. Why give him? So this is how Chicken won effectively last night. Is just positional crush. Positional crush out of the opening, and then Penguin had some swindling chances in a couple of games, but basically it's just very strong. So it should work as trying to do the command for this is very out of date, but yeah, it doesn't work anymore. Nah, the command for the Crazyhouse. The links to the standings and so on. Okay, so how did he take? This is actually quite interesting. Besides, he takes with the knight. Yep, he doesn't want to take with the. He's holding the. Notice how he's holding diagonal pieces, which makes sense because if you give black diagonal pieces, he can increase pressure along this diagonal by withholding the diagonal pieces after bishop takes rook, bishop takes, and the one good piece that black has in this position, this bishop, has effectively been neutralized. Bingo. Could take here just because it's tempo, and then begin your own attack. I mean, you could back off, but it's just it felt like taking just okay. The queen would be on this diagonal, but that didn't seem too dangerous. Maybe he's trying to hold bishops. No, obviously not. Otherwise he'd have gone. If he was really trying to hold bishops, he'd have gone bishop f1, not bishop at f1. You see, I think White's done something wrong here because, yeah, no, I see why bishop takes rook would have been a problem. Same idea, queen takes, and eventually black gets another bishop on this diagonal. So, okay, so bishop takes rook probably was bad, but something's gone wrong here because you see he's given back this diagonal to black. So I'm sure there's a way he could have been even meaner and stop that from happening. Knight takes, notice, just keeping hold of the diagonal piece. At some point it's going to be time for him to counterattack. Got to be careful. Knight takes bishop, rook here, checkmate. It's not so comfortable. Maybe at g2. even. I don't know, is black going to win this one? I mean, this is disgusting, honestly. Like, what is this? Like, I'm sure Jasugi's playing all the wrong moves here, but still winning. Oh yeah, this is just disgusting. You have to take this bishop because rook here is checkmate. Either take it or reinforce it. So you take back like this. But Jasugi is absolutely on the back foot here. Notice how I said this opening is not that great, but this diagonal is the danger in this opening. And we've seen it in this game. Okay, knight here is pretty much forced. Otherwise it would be like bishop takes, and then black would get a knight on f1 if you'd gone to h2. Okay, now f1 is weak, so queen here doesn't quite work. Black totally safe. This is so the point is king takes knight, queen here is checkmate. If you don't take that knight, good luck. Like, you can't defend this, can you? So they're just, oh, very nice, very nice. Okay, so if you take the bishop, queen here, if you go king here, queen here, is mate. I'll just show that live position from that game. If king goes back to f1, then queen at e1 is mate. If king takes the bishop, queen at g1 or h2 is checkmate. It's a very nice finish. Very nice finish from Penguin. Not going to miss a mate. And this game, queen f3, going for scholar's mate. No adoption, as Avjiko says. Yeah, 7-1. I mean, played really well, and probably worth having a look afterwards, because he seemed to. I mean, I haven't looked at the engine or anything, but I'm wondering, bishop takes rook, queen takes, and then begin your own attack, surely? That felt surely better than what happened. It was all about, yeah, you have to close down that diagonal, basically. I see a funny move here. I don't know if it's any good, like knight here. It's a kind of funny move, because he can't take it because the queen takes f2 checkmate. But if he does anything blocking it or something, we're just going to take the rook. Oh, we see it. Okay. Maybe bishop here. Oh, surely bishop e3, because then knight takes rook, queen takes. That seems so boring. Black's just winning a free piece. And then he'll go desperado on the knight. So he's won at least a pawn with that little. Oh, I see what's going on here. Knight takes rook, bishop here. Ouch. Okay. So take the bishop then, maybe. Say, okay. I was being too smart. Just take the bishop. Yeah, Eagle Bugmate likes knight c1 as well. Yeah, and he does take the bishop. It was just too tempting to play knight b3, but then when you think further, it's like, yeah, it's not as good as it looks. Okay, so the question is, can we go bishop takes f2? Nah, there's no real follow. I mean, you could go bishop takes f2 and pawn here, but the white would respond with bishop at g5, and there's no real reward. So probably the best is just to increase pressure. But then knight at h5 comes, so it's not clear. But it's an idea. So just putting a bishop here. Another thing is just to develop. The problem is knight h5 an issue? Maybe bishop here? Or bishop here? Yeah, bishop here is quite good, because that's both threatening and defending. So yeah, I like bishop at h5 best in this position. It's just, but okay, we're going to see I'm surprised. Just bishop block? Wait. No, I said bishop block, I guess you just go takes, takes, and bishop again, so he just backs off. Okay, so he wants knight takes g2. Oh, knight takes g2 is coming though. Jasugi99 is Canadian. Is Canadian Indian? Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if it's Sri Lankan or Indian or let's say Canadian, Southeast Asian. Yes. Whoa, 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 whoa! What's going on here? That is. So if I take the queen, I'm literally threatening mate here. So his idea is if I take the queen, knight takes very calmly. Okay. And I think the point then is the bishop can't be saved, I get g2. Okay. That's his concept. So bishop takes pawn first. Knight takes... Okay, the immediate knight takes g2 made sense as well here. I don't know, I don't see Jasugi... I don't think Jasugi's doing very well here. Yanak is a very common name in India, says Abhijit. Okay, that's interesting. But the surname, I don't believe the surname's a common name in India. So his surname's Awatramani. So if you're going to tell me that's a common name as well, then Black doesn't have anything. That's his basic problem. Ooh, I said he didn't have anything, but that was problematic because yeah, if he stepped back at g2, so things were not so. Oh, this is just going too fast for me. Sorry. So check. He had to step up. Defends. Takes the. Oh, okay. Attacks. 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 Okay. Oh, well, we'll back up at the live action. Sorry. This is just going too fast. Bishop takes knight. Yes, nothing. And he resigns. So good fight back from Penguin. So Abhijit go with some inside info that the name ending of MANI in a surname links to a northwestern Indian province, which is a community specializing in trading. Cool. Okay, so Jasugi99 back to the chicken style opening against Penguin, just following exactly what Chicken did. More closely following what Chicken did than at the beginning of the match even. With the setup of bishop to d3, queen to e2, and just castle quickly. So the issue here is any like bishop here could just be met by this. Ouch. That feels wrong, but okay. I can't see why it's wrong, so maybe just back off and say now you've got a horrible weakness on g7, which you're not going to protect easily. I mean, you can see it's a very comfortable position for white to play. I mean, there's no reason to sack even, but I just don't. Basically, blacks. So the reason you sack in Crazyhouse is to create weaknesses in the opponent position. Well, in this position, black with his play has created those weaknesses. Okay, so if you do that, you've just locked off that bishop. It makes it look stupid. Also, you could take it. Oh, if you block with a knight... Anyway, so what that was all about was actually just saving his knight, which is actually amazing. Wow, f3, just trying to reinforce this square. Was that necessary? Because it was already double defended. To me, that says he wants to push. it's a signal. It wasn't necessary at all. It's just saying I want to push this. I don't want bishop takes g2 nonsense, because now queen is covering, this diagonal is blocked. Ooh, interesting idea. Because obviously if you take, suddenly black's actually got something on you. I mean, the problem, I don't think, so the reason 12-team is thinking is just there are too many good things to do, basically. It's like, do I take this pawn? Do I take with the rook? Do I take the queen? Queen is actually the third thing I would think of in this position. Why would you take with the queen? That is a nasty move. Rook at h1 is the threat. Ah, something's gone wrong. Really, what is 12-team doing? Yeah, I don't like queen takes f1. Okay, but maybe there's something here. I'm not quite sure why my auto mod just kicked in. Yeah, this looks really uncomfortable. I mean, it's uncomfortable, so what's the mating pattern here? Something like rook at h2 at f2. So suddenly h1 is not a safe square for the king, so you have to be really careful about f2. And that's why this idea of this is you now have as many defenders as you can possibly get and trying to block off this file, because after all, yeah, rook at h1 was a mate threaten 1. So he blocks off the file with actually the only blocker he had. But this is I mean, even like rook takes knight. Okay, so even ideas like pawn, rook takes knight, pawn here. Okay, this bishop's actually doing a good job. So I'm not saying black's winning this. I still think white's probably winning this. It's just it's a lot more scary to play than it was. So what do you do? The one thorn in your position is this pawn. You just remove it. Absolutely. And what does black do? Put a pawn on here and just block off his lovely rook file? Nope. He tries to cash in. Interesting, because if knight takes, this is checkmate again. Remember. So yeah, Katask was having ideas of knight takes e4, but I'm not quite sure at exactly what point that was. And suddenly, out of nowhere, black is losing. Wow. Because the point is, if the king steps forward, rook here, king here, pawn here is checkmate. If the king steps back, rook here, rook takes pawn, and knight here is checkmate. If the king steps back here, pawn here check, takes a rook and promotes to queen. So, although I did think the whole time white was actually doing quite well that game, I didn't see the end coming quite as quickly as it did. So I'm going to turn on engine. So f3 I think was quite a nice move. This is fine. So here, rook takes f1 made sense. Apparently just doing this is bad because of knight takes bishop. Yeah, I just completely missed that. Okay, so that's quite an important miss. But rook takes knight was just natural and clearly good. Whereas this allowed knight at g3 again, and suddenly this is actually complicated. Rook at h5 is good, apparently. Rook h5, yeah. So putting a new rook at h5 may have been better. Rook at h5, knight e2. But as I said, I think white is still actually fine here. It's a lot more complicated. So let's go at f2, and you probably go bishop takes, takes, queen takes, takes, knight takes, bishop at h4. So yeah, it's just, yeah, white can easily run into trouble. And if you're going to go king h1, well, that's brave. Let's put it that way. Rook takes h3, g takes h3. Yeah. Okay, so what happened in fact was this takes. Yeah, so white never loses the advantage, and in the end, this is a very beautiful mate that 12-team finds. King f8 at g7. If king g8, rook at g7 takes. Knight here, checkmate. Okay, on the subject of things turning incredibly quickly, let's just take a look at game 1 when Jasugi was white. Sorry, Jasugi was black, and so already, so you can see how Jasugi knows the opening a lot better than Penguin. So here, knight takes f6 apparently is okay, but he's already managed to start an attack and weaken up those light squares. Takes the rook, attacks here, attacks the queen. Queen takes knight makes sense. Queen takes another pawn makes sense. And here, just sack the queen, because you don't want to allow white to get all his pieces in hand. Sack the queen makes sense. Which takes a quite nice observation here that if you block here or here, we're just under control. If you block here, just knight here. So black actually controls this diagonal. So he has to try and step back, but then was there anything else he could do? Not really. And so maybe stepping here would have been more. But then just add f3, and if you step forward, this doesn't work because just at d4 is checkmate. So he has to step back at some point. But the moment he steps back, this queen takes rook comes in. And Penguin resigns. At some point you do something like this, but rook at d2, king here, queen takes bishop, and it's checkmate. Okay, so that was game 1. Before going on to game 2, I said that I would quickly look at game 7, which Jasugi lost. And people are asking how good is this opening for black, and you can see what Stockfish thinks of it. It's probably the same as any opening. It's +4 for white, +5. Okay, and to be honest, I think white was doing completely fine here. e5, really nice. So positionally, doing really nicely. Takes. Okay, so maybe it wasn't the best, but here, yeah, I think I called this actually because I was commentating on Discord, but not live not streaming at the time. Just taking here, and then trying to make sure you don't. The one thing I was worried about this is maybe black tries to put bishop on b7 and get back control of this diagonal. And to be honest, I'm not completely sure how to stop that. It says bishop at b3 is an idea. And so if this, what do you do? Bishop takes d5. If pawn takes d5, the problem is that bishop at e6 comes, but why can't you just go bishop to f7, bishop takes, rook takes? Anyway, so this just looks a little bit uncomfortable. If you do something like this. Anyway, so the point is you've actually got control of this diagonal, you've actually blocked off this diagonal, so that doesn't work very well. But if you take with the queen, then you can just repeat the maneuver, and any block there you meet with knight here. Actually, do you? Let's see. If this, no, I think you just take. And if he blocks with a knight, probably in this position, not sure what, because we don't have another bishop to go take and put another bishop on b3. So in this position, okay, but blocking with the knight, can't we just do this? No, apparently not, because then we're running into, apparently we're running into some terrible trouble with a very bare king. Again, I'm not seeing why, because why can't we just block? And just at g2, what am I missing? Rook takes knight, king takes, knight at h2, king g1. So this is some terrible things are happening to my to my king, but I don't. If I take here, then knight takes f3, and okay, so I just do this. Bishop at f1. Okay, so all these minor pieces, harmless though they look, are actually quite devastating. So okay, so quite surprising. You have to be quite careful here of this queen takes knight idea. So maybe even bishop at b3 is not such a smart move here because of queen takes knight. So this really just shows this you have to watch out for that diagonal. Even if it's a queen on that diagonal, you have to watch out for it. So what is the right way of playing this? Bishop c6 maybe was another way of playing it. Okay, hard to say. Bishop takes rook, queen takes. Surely there's something better we can do. I don't see. I'm not seeing it though. Okay, so he backs off, and now black takes back control of that diagonal, which is sort of his trump card, and white's just putting his pieces on terrible squares. You know, putting a knight. Come on, this is not how you play Crazyhouse. So I think the moment he played that, I said this. It looked disgusting. But I think it was a desperate attempt to survive. So why can't you play moves like at g2? So apparently these are bad as well. So it was probably a difficult position with knight at h1 ideas coming, basically. So that's why he's defending in the way he did. So what is the way to defend this very difficult position? Bishop e3, yeah. Develop and defend at the same time. But apparently even that's not good because of knight at g5. So you're threatening to move the queen in if you take it, and if you don't take it, we're hitting h3. Okay, so it was actually a very hard position, so I'm being unfair. But if you're playing moves like knight at d1, then things have gone wrong, and Penguin was very accurate in capitalizing. Mate in 2, and Penguin found it with this bishop at h1. There are other mates in 2 as well, apparently. Knight at f4 is mate in 2. Queen at g1 queen takes f2 is also mate in 2. So Gingerbread Man says can't take the knight on g5. Yeah, I just lost knight at g5. If we take it, oh, okay, so takes, yeah, rook here. Okay, that's what I was missing. Yep, rook at h1 mate. Yes, indeed. Yes, so the point is any take here, the queen comes in, and if you take with the knight, there's rook at h1 checkmate. Okay, so let's just quickly look at games 2 to 5, which I didn't live stream. I commentated on them live, but you didn't catch that because I wasn't streaming. But I was just commentating on Discord. So this is game 2, and I noticed this. It looks like 12 Team was basically copying what what chicken had done, but that's because this is the way to play against this kind of setup. If black is not going to grab the center, grab the center. And exactly what chicken did was bishop d3, queen e2, and we just saw that in the live games we just covered. But in the earlier games, 12 was going for this very early h4 idea. And I'm going to turn the engine on so you can see what Stockfish even thinks of this. So I was just thinking in this position, queen e2 castles was good, or castles straight away. That's what chicken did, so I was trusting that was good stuff. But okay, he went for h4, and then in this sort of position I was very tempted by ideas of knight g5 and trying to get in on the light squares. But instead, so what's wrong with knight g5? Because it just seemed, I guess, yeah, knight takes h4 is the problem. And so that in that situation, the knight is actually loose on g5, so you have to sack it immediately. So it's okay, but it's a little bit hairy. So it's not as straightforward. So he's playing g3, and of course this is asking for trouble when there's already a bishop staring down on this diagonal, but it's still solid for now. And castling queenside is interesting, and I was noticing it is difficult for black to attack this king, actually, because this early move, on move 4 he's actually played a3. There's no real obvious attack. Bishop takes a3 doesn't really do anything. Yeah, black's pieces are not really well equipped to attack. And yeah, with this move he really shuts down this dark squared bishop. Maybe, why does black not take this? Because then suddenly this opens up, and it's starting to look rather uncomfortable. So he closes down the file, but in doing so he closes down the diagonal. So takes here, bishop at f1, just very solid move. And so basically he's just improving his position the whole time. Okay, and then this strike comes against winning this piece, but rook takes h5. What white's getting, if black doesn't sack the queen, I guess white's getting quite a lot of tempi. So this, and goes straight in for an attack. Yeah, so something noticing here, if pawn takes knight, we'd just take this pawn. Knight takes, and I didn't see direct mate, but queen at e7, rook here. What was I saying in this position? So if it wasn't a rook, you'd be even thinking of queen takes knight. So if bishop at e7, queen takes f7, I thought was probably mating. Apparently it's not mating immediately because this, but if he takes back here, you're coming in. Yeah, bishop at g6 stops you running away to the queen side. So now you're trapped. If you step back, just a knight and pawn mates. So you have to step forwards. And I'm going in far too much detail. But basically something like knight here and queen coming in to here will be checkmate. And plenty of other mates as well. But of course there is rook here, so it's not so straightforward. Pawn here. If king f8, knight at g6, king g8, knight takes rook, and then we can come in. So okay, so black maybe can hold on for a little bit longer with moves like this. And so it's not completely straightforward, but it takes bishop. Okay, so it's just we were threatening mate here, and white is still safe. So okay, obviously black didn't want to allow that, so he defended. Takes, and repeats. Okay, his position is not going to get any easier, and the queen came in, and Penguin just resigned. So strong game in game 2. So game 3. So at this point, Jasugi is 2 love up, and he goes for a pawn sack. And I was saying in Crazyhouse, you don't like to sack pawns, because when you sack a pawn in the opening, you're actually 2 pawns down, because your opponent's got an extra pawn, and you've got 1 less pawn. Oh, Gingerbread Man says, nice, I appreciate this streaming a lot. And Baku says, what happened? Is it over? Yeah, and Gingerbread Man answers, yep, 12-1, 8-2. So it was actually 7 love, but Penguin won a couple. And I missed the first 5 games in the live stream, so I'm just catching up. And we can have the engine on while we catch up. That's one slight advantage. This is actually quite nice from black. And yeah, knight g5, bishop takes pawn. I didn't realize, Yeah, knight b to d2. Yeah, that's another way of playing it. I was thinking knight b5 to d2, rook here, and I thought f3 is actually quite well defended. But I was actually discussing this during the live game. The problem is, if you do this, 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 and then this, after all those trades, black gets to play first. And in the live stream, I was thinking knight here might be strong, but obviously that's not the strongest move at all. Maybe moving moving the existing knight to d4 is really strong, because now we're threatening knight at f3. Now it's true, black could throw in a check, so queen at e4 check, queen here. So he could throw in a check here as well. We could maybe subtly sidestep. And notice that after queen takes queen, we do have bishop takes, so there's no mate. There are too many holes around this white king, so that's why the huge trades would actually benefit black because of all the weaknesses in white's position. So after this, what actually happened was white sacked, which I think is the correct thing to do, and try and create some counterplay. And I was saying during this game, if once black can finally get safe, obviously you don't want to. In this sort of position, there's knight here check, king here, pawn here checkmate. You don't want to fall for that. But as long as the black king can get safe, then black will be winning. And I was imagining some slow comeback from black. Just as he slowly gets all his pieces back on the board. Okay, he gets his king back to e8, safe. Pawn defended by the knight, no problems. And just look how quickly this game finishes. Rook here check, no blockers. Okay, it turns out he should have gone queen f1 and just sacked the queen, but no blockers. King here. Oh, game over. Just because the pawn is pinned, just game over. Gingerbread Man Crazyhouse says, after at e6, I usually crumble. Yeah, so it was just really good saying, he doesn't have enough pieces in hand to continue this attack, and just very calmly moving back into safety. But what was stunning is just how quickly this game finished. Literally 2 moves was enough for Jasugi to finish it. So I thought that was hilarious, that game. Game 4, so we're back. Same opening, except now we do see this knight to g5, and yes, I think I saw something in this, and I was wondering if it worked, and I think it does. I didn't see it to the end of the line, so I thought it didn't work, and then I think Oppa said it does work. Takes, knight at g5, and you can't come back to here or here because pawn here is checkmate. So you have to go king g6, and this is the move I missed. Bishop d3, and obviously in this sort of position normally, what your dream is to have a bishop. You put a bishop here, the king is forced to go here, and then you go knight takes this pawn, and you take out all the blockers, and it's checkmate. So if this were Bughouse, you'd be calling your partner, get me a bishop, please, 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 it mates. There's no chance of a bishop here, but it turns out you can do this, knight f5, you can get a knight, and the point is if he takes with the pawn, then I thought knight at f4, but apparently this is even stronger. So the point here is if this, then this is if this, sorry, new knight at f7 is checkmate, and if this, then we're going to take this rook with check later. So we're going to go knight at f4 first. If here just rook takes rook is checkmate, but if this rook takes rook is still checkmate. So that's why you can't take with the pawn. And again, if you go king h6, knight f7, king h5, knight here is checkmate. Or knight, actually, it's much more beautiful to put the knight here and say it's checkmate, because these 2 knights are 3 apart, and 2 knights 3 apart control a square of squares. So you'd have to go king takes bishop. and then you could go, yeah, so then I'm not seeing it. So if you go something like knight at g3, he can go back to g6, and it's not quite clear. We could win the rook with h5, rook takes rook, but okay, so that doesn't quite work. Maybe this check, and again, if he goes king g6, you have h5, knight at f4, and winning the rook with check, so he has to basically take this, and then we can go knight c takes e4, and now we have a bishop for dangerous things here. So we're threatening stuff like knight here, bishop at f7, and so on. Okay, so this is actually a really cool attack for white, which 12-teen actually missed, but we saw it in the chat. But he played another move. F3 is the third best move. What's the second best move? Just queen takes g4 first is the best move apparently. Okay, so just f3. It is the best move if you don't do something crazy. But unfortunately, black does get to consolidate a little bit, and does so. And because now the knight becomes a little bit insecure, unstable, that's the word, not insecure. Takes, push. Okay, so what was the move missed here? Bishop takes e4. Why can't we just take the knight? He's got a pawn for a2. That is awkward. Yeah, that is awkward. We have to stick like a knight or bishop in the corner, or a knight on b3 stopping it. Yeah, probably just knight in the corner would be, but you don't want a knight in the corner. So yeah, and then suddenly black has got knight at d5, winning this. Okay, that's actually really awkward. And if bishop takes pawn, queen takes, then knight f2 is nasty apparently. Yeah, so that's actually a really good tactic. This is like a like a 2800 level puzzle. Bishop takes e4. Not easy to spot, and the point is you're just undermining the light squares, and so you can come in with a knight on d5 later. Okay, so, but now white's now consolidating, gets his king safe, really consolidating his position. Okay, he loses a rook, but pawn takes knight, and just the attack on the king is too strong. And then at this time I was thinking, well, the king's still got f8, there's no killer blow, right? Blocks, we can always check on f7, but there's this. And quite instructive. What does white do? Of course, he gets a rook, and now with the rook he could hit either f8 or h8, and the game's over. So that was that. And game 5 is the last game, which I didn't cover live, and so it's the last game of the stream. Hi there, Sleipnir1216. Jasugi99 is 12-teen. Yes, it was a secret for a few months because he wanted to stay anonymous. Secret didn't last very long, so people have known for some months now. And in fact, and also Janny has an introduction to all the candidates in the Crazyhouse Championship. So you can watch that video on YouTube. So something's gone wrong for black here. I wonder what it is. At e4 is strong here. Just he takes at g4 is not bad, but he's allowed too much. Knight here check, king e8, queen here check, pawn here. This is a really beautiful move actually, this queen here, because he's both threatening mate and he's picking up this pawn. And he throws in this as well, which wasn't necessary. Just queen takes pawn is great, but okay, knight d5 is probably equally good. And this move, the point is Penguin, look at Penguin, he's on 20 seconds. Like in this position I'm thinking, why not just take the queen? And okay, I have to admit, in the live action I was thinking, take the queen, black's got nothing here. Okay, it just shows how wrong I am. Bishop at e2, king takes knight, bishop b to d3, king c3. I mean, look what black has. He just got pawns in hand, but that's all he needs apparently. Pawn to a4, king takes a4, bishop c2 just to block him off, b3, and this bishop moves back to b5, king a5 and b6. So You don't need knights to mate. You can just mate with diagonal sometimes. That was quite scary, right? I really didn't believe that knight takes pawn as checkmate. But the bishops are powerful. Let's just play through that line again. It's just quite amazing. Just blocks him off, and yeah, easy. And you use all the pieces in hand, so it's quite clean. I wonder if 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 I just wasted a pawn here, I don't think I've got it, do I? I don't think I've got it anymore. Apparently I've got a draw with at d4. This is just for fun. King b4, bishop c4, king c2, bishop here, king here. I don't have anything, so it's just that having that extra pawn is just enough to mate. Okay, so that's an insight I didn't see when I was watching it live. Okay, so the knight was actually dangerous. Takes, bishop takes, but White's doing, yeah, bishop knight. White's doing actually really well here. Knight e6 check, promotes to queen, takes, knight takes, so he wins a rook with check, takes the bishop, bishop takes, rook at g8, takes with check. I think it's just low time was killing him. See, 12-10 had over a minute on the clock, and still it's quite an even position, but now 12-10 with the mate threat suddenly. Knight d3 though defends completely fine. Okay, moves the queen finally out of danger, but unfortunately 12-10 spots this mate. Okay, this is a really nice mate now. Takes, king takes, opening up this line, and yeah, he could have gone immediately queen e2, but he took here first, then queen e2. So just really beautiful. And even if he hadn't opened up this line, there's also just bishop takes, knight, pawn takes, pawn here, king here, and knight here, check. So yeah, from being on the back foot, I think in this game. So what did Penguin do wrong this game? Because it was looking so promising. King here, knight e6. To be honest, this is all looking quite strong. Rook at g8 looks strong, bishop here looks strong. Maybe rook takes knight. You have to go king takes. And then take here. Yes, it's just really unclear. I mean, it's just there must have been a point where things were clear, but a knight takes c7 check, king takes knight. Yeah, that would be nasty. Knight to d5. Oh yeah, so knight takes c7 check. So you can't really take the knight. You probably have to keep running, but then you take the bishop. So what else could you do? Yeah, I mean, if you do this, then just knight at d. It just feels too straightforward. You know, king b8 at c7, and you can't go here because of here. So you have to do this. Knight takes. With all these minor pieces, that's not enough. That's not what, you know. Black needs a queen or something to mate. He hasn't got an attack yet. It's just going to be too slow. So yeah, that was the miss. Knight takes c7 here. Knight takes c7, king b8, knight takes rook maybe even, and if you take here, just then we could even just get in on the back rank, stuff like this. Okay, so that was a really strong attack from Penguin, which faltered, but he did win the next 2 games after this game, so maybe he got some confidence from this game. And to be honest, 8-2 against 12-10 is pretty respectable. But okay, this is devastating counterattack. Okay, hope you enjoyed. If in case anyone's new, I'll just drop my YouTube link so you can see all the other streams I've done from the Crazyhouse World Championship, or any other sort of instructional Crazyhouse stuff. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks in particular to Gingerbread, Sleipnir, and Baku's Abhijit Go for watching all the way along. And see you next time.